Okay, today we'll discuss about summary index in Splunk. Okay, now summary indexes are really useful in a scenario where we are dealing with very large data set. Okay, and we want to report on very smaller portion of the time range of the data set. That means we want to report efficiently on the very larger volume of data. For an example, let's say in our system every day we are indexing millions of event. Okay, now it could happen that we want to report on, let's say for a particular day, a single day worth of data we want to report on, right? In that case, if you see your, what we will do, you will be basically writing a normal search query on your base index, right, which will basically go through all those millions of events to find the one day worth of event for reporting purpose, right? If you see over here, this is an inefficient way of handling the data, right? Now in this type of scenario, summary index comes into picture. Okay, so in summary index what we do basically, we create a search, it's a scheduled search, okay, which will basically pull from the main index, okay, periodically, and put the summarized data basically, which will be useful for our reports in a summarized manner in the summary index. Okay, then so basically if you see it over here, as the schedule search is pulling the data periodically for a definite time period, let's say past 1 hour or 15 minutes or one day, so it's basically pulling a very small amount of data, right? And that same data is getting pushed to summary index, right? So that means then your actual report you are trying to build, the final report, you're basically running on the summary index. That means you are running on very smaller chunk of data. That's why summary index, performance wise, summary index have very good performance. Okay, so this is the main advantage of summary index. That's why we basically use summary index. Okay, so for an example, even similar kinds of data I have set it up over here as well for my TMDB app. So let me show you. I'll just run this query. Okay, so for all time, so what I have done it over here, I basically indexed certain data like 617 data events. So it has ID, general ID, original language, title, and release date. Okay, and if I just show you how these datas are time wise distributed, you will get a good idea what I'm talking about. So stats count by underscore time. Now if you see for 29th, that means day before yesterday, I have 258 events. 30th, yesterday I have 74 events, and 31st I have 285 events, right? Now my idea is to, I want to get the top general IDs, right? So generally what will be your query in this case? On our main index we will write top general ID, correct? So this is our final result we want. Now think about it, this scenario where your main index has millions of data for each and every day, right? So in that case this query is going to take forever to complete. And now think about, we are talking about only a single user. When 10 concurrent users are running the same report, the whole system will be collapsed, right? So in that case we will be implementing the summary index way of reporting that. Okay, we'll see, and we'll also, for verification purpose, what we'll do is we'll take a screenshot of this one. So our summary index approach should give me the similar output. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go ahead and take a screenshot over here. Okay, so now let's move on. Let's go back to our diagram first. So there are a lot of way you can summarize data. Okay, either by report acceleration or by data model acceleration or summary index, which we are currently talking about. In previous video I have already talked about the data model and data model acceleration. Please have a look at my playlist. Okay, and report acceleration I will be creating a separate video. But while discussing the summary index, as I said, we need to have a scheduled report, right? We will briefly talked about report scheduling as well, okay, over there. Now So that's why how now let's talk about the point number 2 over here. So how summary index is boosting the performance. As I said over here, the schedule report is basically picking up smaller chunks of data periodically and putting it into summary index. That means the whole cost of computation you are basically spreading across time, right? Now as thus in the summary index we have the frequent running search, right, that extract the precise information we want. So each time this search is run, the results are saved into a summary index that we designate, right? Then we can then run our main searches and report on this with this significantly smaller amount of summary index. That is what I have talked about this as well, right? Now, so now the main concern about summary index population is what about the statistics, right? We are talking about top, right, as an example. So summary index are also statistically accurate. We'll see how it works as well. Okay. Now another significance of summary indexing is let's take an example. Let's say today is Thursday, right? Thursday. So let's say I'm doing the daily wise summary. Okay, so Thursday I have created a summary. Similarly for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? Now if you see here, as I am generating summary for each and every day, the day wise summary can be used either for day wise reporting, right? Suppose I am on Friday, but that means tomorrow if I want to generate a report for yesterday, this Thursday summary can be useful, right, can be used for the same reporting. Or let's say I'm on Monday, I want to generate report for last 5 days. In that way also the Thursday's summary can be used. So that means the same summary can be used for overlapping time period reporting as well. Okay, this is another advantage of summary reporting. Now so let's talk about how we can create a summary index. Okay, so creating a summary index is same as creating an index. Okay, so we need to go to settings, indexes, okay, and then new index over here. Okay, I think I'll just delete it so that I can demo it. So click on new index. Okay, as I'll be deleting for my TMDB app, so I'll just give it as a name as TMDB underscore summary. I'll keep everything else as default value. Okay, save. So this is the summary index. Now if you see there is no difference between this one and a normal index. So until and unless I am telling my save search to put it as a summary index, there is no difference over here till now. Okay, and if you see Splunk also provides a default summary index called summary. Okay, you can use that one as well if you want to use it. Now let's go back to our Splunk enterprise. So we saw how we can create a summary index, right? Now the question arises how we can populate the summary index, right? Now to discuss that, let's go back to our this particular mind map. So there are two ways you can push the data to summary index. One way is to create a schedule report, which will be using this sitstats, sitop, si chart or si time chart commands to populate the summary index. Si means summary index, then stats. So if you talk about si stats, the functionality is same. Only thing is that si stats also compute some other fields which will be used to maintain the statistical information about the summary index data. Okay, so you can either do by using these commands, you can create a data which can be pushed to summary index, or you can use addinfo and collect command to push the data to summary index from a search query. Now to use these guys like si stats, si top, si chart, you need to use these commands in a schedule report, and in the schedule report you want to basically enable the summary index, then only it will push it to summary index. But by using collect command, you can directly push from your search query itself. We'll see that one. Okay, so let's go back to our Splunk enterprise. We'll click on TMDB app. Okay, so now this is our initial data set, right, for all time. So what we will do here, let's say, as we also seen stats count by underscore time. Okay, we have each and every day worth of data. What we'll do is we'll create a search which will run for each and every day, and take that corresponding day data itself, okay, and put it into summary index. So for to do that, what we'll do, we'll go to settings, we'll go to search reports and alerts. Okay, now we'll select our TMDB app. From there we'll create a new report. Okay, we'll name this report as populate TMDB underscore summary. Okay, now search, the search should be, as you have seen it over here, my intention is to get the top gener ID, right? So top gener ID. Now I'll be using SI top gener ID to get the summary index top version. Okay, now if you see it over here, it is creating two fields. One is the gener ID, but ideally it should create a count and percentage. Okay, now now it is creating a separate field called CVP underscore reserved underscore count. Okay, now this has been created by SI top. If you run just normal top, it creates the count and percentage value. Okay, so this is the difference between a SI top and top. SI top creates a new field. I don't know this field, and Splunk recommends these fields you should not use in your final reporting search. Okay, now how you will be accessing data from summary index, we'll see that. Okay, but this is how the data will be pushed to summary index. Okay, so now, and this particular search will run for a single day, right? So what I'll do, I'll copy this one, I'll come over here, I'll put it over here, right? Now let's save it first. Okay, now we'll, from the edit, we'll do one by one. So we'll first edit the permission. Okay, so that the savesearch.conf, the created savesearch.conf will be created inside our TMDB app. For now, as it's a demo, I'll just keep it right to everyone. I'll click on save. Now if you see, when I do this, if I go to my Splunk home, etc apps TMDB, okay, then I'll go to local folder. There is a savesearch.conf created now, right? If I open this one, the savesearch.conf has same search name and that particular search. Okay, so that's why I have just edited the permission. Now let's move on. Let's edit the schedule. This is the most important part of the schedule report. This is how you schedule a report. You have to click on this checkbox, schedule report. Okay, now it is giving me certain options, right? Schedule, time range, schedule priority, schedule window, and the triggering action, right? Now let's talk about one by one. First two things are most important: schedule and time range. Let's talk about them. Now schedule, we have two important terms called schedule and time range. Okay, for that what will I'll create a simple picture. Okay, bear with me. Okay, let's say current time is 12 o'clock, 12 a.m. Okay, now, and I am scheduling this report for every 1 hour. Let's say now it will be this particular pipe will be 1 o'clock window, this particular pipe will be 2 o'clock. Okay, so that means when I'm talking about schedule, I'm talking about when the next time the report will run, right? If I schedule for 1 hour, the first time it will run on 12, then it will run on 1, then it will run on 2. Correct. Now what is time range? Time range is when the report will run, what time range of data it will pick up for its computing purpose. That's the time range. So if I give time range as, let's say, 30 minute, what we'll do, let's say when this report is running on 1 o'clock, it will pick up the data from 12:30 00:30 to 1. Correct. 00:30 to 1. So that means this worth of half data it will pick up and it will push it into summary index, right? Now if you think about it over here, if you see it over here, the summary, the report cannot pick up anything else from here because you are giving the time range over here, right? Now there is a chance that you will miss this time of data, right? Because your report is not picking up this one. So that means there is a possibility that if you give this kind of time range, there is a possibility that your report summary index will have some kind of gap. Suppose I'm giving the time range as all time. Okay. Now what will happen when in 1 o'clock it will run? It will take all the data, right? Suppose I have 3 days worth of data, so it will take 3 days worth of data. It will push it into summary index. When it will run for 2 o'clock, right, again it will run for all time. It will take 3 days worth of data. It will pushing into summary index, right? In that case, what will happen? Your summary index will have lot of data overlaps, right? So these are the problem of summary index. So that's why the best practice is to, when you schedule the report, right, the report should pick up according to the schedule. That means if you are scheduling for 1 hour, it should pick up the 1 hour worth of data itself. If you're scheduling for 1 day, it should pick up the 1 day worth of data itself. Okay. Now that will also lead to another thing which will solve later, right? So what about the historical data? Suppose I am scheduling the report for even each and every hour, right? So then, and it is picking up the hour of worth of data and putting into summary index. What about I have data in my system for last 5 days? The summary index populating search will not pick them up, right? So we still have a problem with our historical data. We'll solve this one. Okay. Now, but we will follow this convention. Okay. So when our scheduling is there, so as I have told you, I have data for each and every day, right? 29th, 30th and 31st. So what I'll do is I will give, let's say, run every day. Okay. Starts at 00. Okay. And the time range will be last 24 hours. So I'll give it 1 days ago. Okay. And the beginning of the day. Okay. So if you see, the data is coming first, 31st 1:19 12 a.m. Okay. This is important. So basically it will pull up all the data, right? Now what is schedule priority over here? All the data belongs to our 31st, today's date itself. Okay. So now what is the schedule priority here? Schedule priority means when you have multiple save searches, schedule reports, now you can prioritize them over there, right? Which one should get the highest priority? So for that you give this one. Okay. If you give highest, that means this particular report will be given the highest priority among all the reports. Okay. Now schedule window means, suppose you again, if you have 10 concurrent schedule searches with same priority. Okay. So now they will try to start on same time, right? But if you give 5 minutes of schedule window, what will happen? Like Splunk will automatically distribute them within the 5 minutes of time gap. That means all the schedule reports will not start concurrently. They will be starting one after another, but they'll all be starting within this 5 minutes. So that's the concept behind schedule window. Okay. Let's click on save. Okay, let's see whether okay, we have to edit the schedule. We will not edit the acceleration, so that will be the concept behind the report acceleration, which we will be discussing about separate video. Okay, in a separate video. Now we'll directly go to edit summary index. Okay, so here basically you are telling this report to put in the data into the summary index. I'll click on this edit summary indexing checkbox. Okay, now I'll be selecting the summary index I have created, tmdb underscore summary. Okay, now if you see, it is also having some kind of add fields option over here, right? Now these options are not used for the data extraction or the field extraction from the summary index. No, these fields are used for annotating the summary index events with some kind of data. Annotating means, if you see, Splunk automatically annotates all of your events using host, source and source type fields, right? Similarly, you can create your own annotation over here. Okay, now the best example will be, let in general normal scenario, what happens that you have more than one schedule reports. Okay, all of them are pushing into same summary index, right? Now when we will access the summary index, it is important that summary index for a particular report, it is important that I will only fetch those data which important to that report, right? So in that case, generally what we do is we also annotate all those reports, all those events we generated from a single report with the report name. Okay, so I'll give the search name. So all the events belongs to this summary index created by this populate tmdb summary will have this search underscore name field as populate tmdb summary. Okay, we'll click on save. So we almost created our save searches, everything, right? Schedule report, and then now if you see it over here, the report is going to start on 1, right? So that means it's not 1, the another half an hour over here, right? So now as we have to wait for another half an hour, so what I'll do is I quickly change the schedule. Okay, so that the report is just run now. Okay, then I will just change the schedule back to one day. Okay, so before that we will just see our summary index, how we are accessing it. Even the summary index, you can access it like in normal index way. Index equals to the summary index name. Okay, sorry, tmdb underscore summary. So currently we do not have any data, right? So what we'll do, as I am doing the demo, I will just quickly change the schedule. Okay, I'll do it on cron schedule. Okay, and I will run in next 2 minutes. So if you don't know what is the cron schedule for 2 minutes, there is a website called cron tab guru. Okay, so this is for the every 5 minutes. So I'll just copy this one, I'll paste it over here. Okay, I will say 2. Okay, let's pick it up for the last 1 day worth of data itself, as we do not have any data in our summary index, so we are safe here, correct? So I'll click on save. So next time is 26, 23, 26, another 1 minute. So let's wait for 1 minute, then we will see how the reports is pulling data. Okay, our 1 minute is over. Let's see how our report pulled the data. To see what kind of data report has pulled, click on view recent. Okay, now if you see it over here, it ran on 26. It did not created any event. Why? Let's see that one. So to run this report, what you need to do is click on run. Okay, so if you see it is not pulling any data last 1 day, let's see what's going on over there. Oh, okay. The latest is basically picking up the morning 12 a.m. here. Let's click on now. Yeah, apply. Okay, now it should pull. So what I need to do over here is edit schedule. Okay, last 1 day. I have to click on. Okay, I think I have not given anything over there. 1 days ago, latest equals to now. Okay, apply. There was a problem with my time range, that's why it was not picking up. Let's see, the next run is on 11:30. So I think view recent, if I see it over here, nothing, it has pulled, right? So let's wait for another 2 minutes, and then we will see how it's working. Okay, okay, so our wait is over. So let's see how it's working now. Okay, it worked on to 285 events. Okay, and let's see our summary index has been populated or not. So to access summary index, this is how we access index equals to the summary index name. Okay, so it has pushed 19 records because we're talking about top over there, right? So to know whether it's matching or not, if you run this particular report, you'll see it is pulling up the 19 records, right? But this is only the 31st data we have pushed over there in the summary index, right? So we still have, so if we talk about stats, count by underscore time. Okay, so we still have 29th and 30th data to be pushed to summary index. This is exactly what I have discussed over here about the historical data, right? So now we have to tackle the historical data over there. So before that, let me do one thing. Let me edit this particular search schedule. Okay, otherwise what will happen is every day save. So I think it's already pushed some data to somebody. No, it has not. Okay, or better, what we'll do is, for now we will just disable this one. Okay, anyhow it's not going to run before we, before that only we will be finishing our this particular demo. Okay, so it will not be needed now. So now let's see how we can backfill this historical data to our summary index. For that, we will do is we will be using the collect command over there. Okay, so as I said, you can use the collect command from a search query itself, from this search prompt itself, to push it to the summary index. Previously, what we have done, we actually took help of this particular scheduling report and we edited its summary indexing. That's why it was pushing into the summary index, correct? So now we will be using the collect command. Okay, so for that, what we'll do, we will take the similar query, right? Now I'll just close this one, I'll close this one, I'll come over here, I'll say table. We are using the query called sitop gener id, correct? So this is our main query. Now this output will be pushing it to summary index directly. Okay, so now to do that, first I will range, I'll be picking it up as 29th. Let's say first we'll push the 30th data, let's say. Okay, so January 30th 00, that means morning 12 a.m. to January 30th 24, that means night 12 a.m. Okay, night 12 p.m. Okay, that means 11:59 p.m. So if I apply this one, so this is my 30th worth of data and the top output over here. Okay, so now I have to push it to summary index, right? For that, the first thing I have to do is use this command called addinfo. Okay, so as you have seen before, when we when we took help from the schedule report, we are using stats or sitop command, right? So that time Splunk automatically handles all the statistical information about those particular data, right? About the data. And if you go to Splunk documentation, okay, so now all the si star commands basically creates this new kind of fields, as we have seen it before as well, right? I mean, even you can see it over here as well. Si top, this kind of field names, right? Instead of giving it count, it's giving me something like this, right? I even we and we cannot use this one in our final search query as well. So in summary index, it is saving it in different way itself, right? So now, and if you see, the format is something like this: PRSRVD, then type and the field name. So for each and every field name, it creates with separate type like count, group count, NC, numerical count, something like this. Okay, so now what we'll do, so as we are pushing the data from the search prompt itself using a collect command, we will be responsible for gathering those statistical information. Okay, now for that we will be using this addinfo command. So addinfo command, what it does, it's basically generates four extra columns, basically: info max time, info minimum time, info search time, and info search id. Max time means whatever the date range you are using it over here, the maximum date, that means the maximum time. Similarly, for this is the minimum time. This is the when I ran this particular search, this is the run time of the search, and this is the search id. Okay, so now I will be using the collect command. Okay, now this is the syntax of the collect command. The command name, then you will be giving a input called index. Here you will be giving the summary index name. Okay, I'll say tmdb underscore summary. Right, this is our summary index name in which we will be pushing this data. Okay, and now there is a input called test mode. Okay, so if I make it as true, what will happen, you can still see how this query is running, but it will not push it to summary index. Okay, just like we do our testing, right? You can see it over here. Okay, so if you see in the, if I query the summary index, it still has 19 records. It did not push anything over there, right? So now what we'll do, if I make it as test mode equals to false, it will push it to summary index. Okay, so let's push it to summary index. Before that, when we implemented the schedule search, right, over there we also implemented the annotation, right, the search name. If you remember, the similar stuff can be done in collect command as well. There is an entry called maker. This is the input. Okay, here you can give the key value pairs. Okay, so I'll be giving the same key value pairs, search underscore name equals to, I'll be giving the same search name. Okay, so okay, I have to discuss this one as well, so let's do that first. Okay, so this one, now if I run this one, it will push only the 30th top data to our summary index. So if I run it now, it takes some time. Okay, so it has pushed now 36, we have data, right? If you see it over here, when data has been pushed to summary index, later a lot of changes happen to the data. Okay, first of all, if you see the source, this, when I push it from the schedule report, the source is becoming the schedule report name. When I'm pushing it from the search query, the source is becoming something like this. See, program files, Splunk verse pull Splunk, then a hash, and then underscore stash underscore new. This is a directory. If you put on if this is basically the search output are generally temporarily storing over there in this directory and in this file, and Splunk automatically index these files, okay, into the summary index, in the mentioned summary index. So this is how in the background the summary indexing works. Okay, Mm, now let's see the source type. Okay, now if you see the source type name becoming stash, there is a reason behind it. Now if you see, we have basically replicating the data, right, from our main index to a summary index to an extent, right? So that means ideally the data has to be going through license, but Splunk do not use any license for summary indexing. That's why how it knows it should not charge any license, it knows by changing this source type to stash. Okay, this is one of the reason why it is changing the source type to stash. So you will not incur any license cost for this one, for summary indexing implementation. Okay, now also you have seen it over here, right? We annotated our events with search name, so this is also populating over here. Okay, and this is our genre id. Okay, and this is that count field name. Okay, so we populated our data for 30th using this search, for 31st using that populate summary index save search. Let's do it for 29th. Okay, similar way. So I'll do it for 29th, I'll do it for 29th. Okay, I'll click on apply. So let's push it over here. Okay, let's see how somebody, it generally takes some time. Okay, it pushed as well over here. If you see the source type, it created another one the similar way, because we are running from the search similar directory, it's creating a new file. Okay, now we pushed 3 days worth of data to summary index. Now for each and every day we have a genre id and their corresponding top values, right? Now to get the overall top values, we need to do it in certain way. Okay, so now if you see the way data is getting stored, how I will get back the data. This is more important, right? Now, before I discuss that, okay, so let's see any point we are missing it over here or not. Okay, we discussed about how we can um, fill the gap using a search query. By that time I have shown you the collect command, right? Now there is another way to fill the gap. Okay, so we will see that one, but before that let's see how we can get back our top data, the final output from the summary index, right? So after index equals to summary index, generally we will write our search name, right? Because if we have more than one search in our system, it is always good to have this one. That's the same reason we have implemented this particular search name annotation, right? So populate summary index. Okay, so we have our 53 events, right? Now when you access the data from summary index, okay, you access in the same way you put the data to summary index. Only difference is when you are putting the data, you are using sistats command. When you'll be accessing the data, you will be using the non-si version of that search. That means over here I have pushed using the si top. Now I will be accessing the data using top. Okay, I only bother about my gener id because I don't know, or I will not bother about how Splunk internally saved those data in summary index. Okay, for me it's just an abstraction. For me, I know how I have pushed the data and I know how I will be pulling the data from summary index. If I run this one for all time, it should create the similar report which we have saved it before, right? Over here, if I match it, 18 153 24.79704407%, 18 153 24.797407. That means statistically this report is too much accurate, right? The same accuracy I can achieve using the day wise. What I have done it over here, I have basically this whole operation like top gener id, this whole operation I have divided into 3 days, right? Each and every day I took the data and I put it into this summary index, right? And then at the last I am basically accessing the similar way I push the data to over there. Okay, so this is the beauty of summary index, where you are basically spreading the whole computation into each and every day, or in a separate schedule or separate interval, right? Okay, so we talked about how we can backfill the summary index using collect command, right? Using a search command. There is another way you can backfill the summary index. Now Splunk provides a script called backfill summary index. Okay, so let's talk about that. That's an interesting one. So that scripts are saved into Splunk bin folder. Okay, so if I go down, there will be a script called fill summary index. Okay, we can use this one as well to fill the summary index gap. Okay, now what I'll do is to demonstrate that, I will first go to my summary index. Okay, this is my summary index, and let's say I will delete this one. I will delete this, both of this one. Okay, we will do it the same way. From summary index I will delete this. Okay, again same summary index I will delete this one as well. So now again I am moving my summary index back to only the 31st of data, right? Now I will be doing the historical data push over there in different way, right? So we go back to our 19 events over there. Now let's talk about this one, this field summary index. Now if you see the documentation, the Splunk documentation, okay, this particular script accepts lot of inputs. Like you can give the earliest time, you can give the latest time, you can give the app context, the name of the safe search, okay, the different safe search name as a comma separated, the user context as a owner, the summary index name, authentication, sleep, right, number of seconds to sleep between each run. Okay, now you can do the concurrent way as well by using this J1, and there is a command input called dedup. Okay, so before I discuss them, let's talk about how these scripts work. Okay, so what this scripts is doing is basically, if you see, we can pass a safe search name to this script, right? So what it will do basically, that safe search worth, let's say, if I go back to my mm, settings and searches. Okay, if you remember previously, I just disabled it, right? Let's enable it. Okay, so I enabled my one. So current time is, okay, let me turn it off. So the next schedule is on 12 o'clock, right? We have another 13 minutes of time. So what we'll do is, over here, if you see the schedule of this particular guy, okay, so it is time range, whatever time range that particular search is taking it up, this fill null summary index, where it is here, the fill summary index script also run on the same time range. Okay, that's why we are passing the schedules report name over here. Okay, so it will automatically determine the time range of that particular schedule report. Okay, and now whatever earliest time and latest time you are giving to that particular input as a input to this particular script, what it will do, it will divide this whole range, okay, by this schedule report time range. That means it will create a small schedule and run that one, run for each and every schedule. It will pick the data from the main index and it will push into summary index. And while pushing into summary index, if you mention dedup equals to true, what it will do for that schedule, right, that small schedule, the if the data it is finding, the summary index also have data for that same schedule, it will not push into summary index. But if you see, it is only checking by the time, it do not have any capability to check at the data level. Okay, so this is important over here. So for that, what we'll do, so this is how we can run this particular script. So we need to go to our Splunk command prompt, Splunk CLI. So what I'll do, I'll go over here, I'll open an administrator. Yes. Okay, so I'll go to my Splunk home bin folder, correct, here where my script is, cd insert. Okay, so now this is the script, where this is how we are calling, we are basically running a Python script. This is a Python script, right? And this is how we run Splunk command Python, the script name, then app name I am giving my tmdb app name, search name I'll be giving my this search name, right, populate tmdb summary. We have another 11 minutes, otherwise this search will run and push the data to summary index. Okay, populate summary, earliest I'll be giving 2 days back. Okay, so 2 days back means today is 31st, right? So 29th end, and latest I'll be giving 1 days back. Okay, that's fine. And number of the number of concurrent searches, I'll be giving 8. Owner, I'll be giving admin. Authentication, I'll be giving my Splunk user ID and password, and I'll be giving dedup equals to true. Let's see how it's working. So if I run this particular command over here, okay, so let's say I'll just for a be in a safer side, I'll just give 3 days. Okay, so if you see, this is what it is doing basically. So it takes this query and it is basically uh, checking this particular save search. Okay, the schedule search timing, based on that timing it is dividing this whole time into on that 1 hour or 1 day's gap, and it's pulling the data, and while pulling the data it is running 8 concurrent searches over there using this authentication. Okay, now as it is completed, let's see how it has populated our summary index or not. So currently we have 19 data. If I do it, so it is having 36 data, right? So some data it has pushed to summary index, right? So this is how you can so let us not worried about the data now. I just wanted to show you, this is if you just give the exact precise time range, it will pull the same data to your summary index as well, the way we are doing using the um, collect command. Okay, so this is how another way you can push the data to summary index using this particular script, right? You can either backfill or you can use it uh, for filling the historical data as well. Now there is another one, we talked about data overlapping as well, right? Let's see if I run this similar code again. Okay, so ideally it should pick up the same data and it should push into our summary index, right? Now we have mentioned dedup equals to true, so I don't think it will push it over there. It will be still 36 events. Yes, it is, because dedup equals to true. But I want to push. So if we saw the dedup use case as well, right? I want to push the duplicate data. I want to show you something. So dedup equals to false, I am pushing now. Okay, so ideally it should push some data to the summary index. Let's see how it's working. Okay, so if I run it now, so now it has pushed something, right? So if you see, okay, before that I'll just stop this schedule, okay, so that it don't interfere with us. So disable. Okay, so now if you see, we can see some kind of duplicate data has been pushed to summary index, right? So to know the summary index, mm, what kind of duplicate data and what range we have pushed the duplicate data, or is there any duplicate or is there any gap in the summary index or not, there is a command called overlap. Okay, you can use this one to check the status of your summary index. Okay, if you see, found a gap in the safe search, found a overlap in the safe search. So it will also give you the search ID and from the search range. So for the gap, what you can do, you can use that fill summary index Python script or collect command to push the data. For overlap, what you can do is you can delete that particular date range of data from the summary index. So these overlap commands are useful to get the status of your summary index. Now I think this overlap commands also runs a Python script, which you can find it out over here in the Splunk etc. I think it is there in the search app. If I go to apps, if I go to search app, this is the by default apps comes with Splunk, right? And if I go to bin folder, okay, so there is a script called summary. Yeah, this is the one, summary index overlap. So basically the overlap command is running this one. Okay, so we saw different use cases of this one as well, different commands as well. Now for the last one, and we ran this one, right? The mm, fill summary index Python script. So it may happen that the script has been the script is somehow halted, or because of some issue the script could not able to complete, right? So to fix that, what you need to do is you can go to your particular app, as we are currently dealing with TMDB app. Okay, so apps, TMDB, okay, and there is a log folder. Okay, if the script somehow it stopped in between, there will be a file created over here. You can delete that file and then rerun the script again. It will be running fine. Okay, so that one. And we talked about summary indexing gap as well, right? So there could be different other ways the gap could happen, right? We only talked about the historical data. There could be like either Splunk can also go down, which can create the gap as well, right? Or the summary index populating search, which is running for a particular schedule, which runs for a longer time. That means already the another search is coming into queue. In that case also the gap can happen. Or somehow mistakenly you keep the you basically make that summary index operating search as runtime or real time, so that time also gap can happen. So, and you know what we need to do when a gap is happening, right? We have our Python script and and our collect command to fill that gap as well. So this is how the whole summary index stuff works. Hopefully this is helpful to you guys. See you in next video.